So hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Now as of this video, we are going to see about 10 different psychological factors that I think you would find amazing about our human brain. Now, without any further delay, let's jump into fact number 1. So human brains can't multitask. Well, if you can take the example of all the devices in the recent times, then you can see your smartphones and laptops which can seamlessly multitask. But when you expect the same from the human brain, which has evolved over the course of thousands of years, well, it fails to do multitasking. Now, why is this so? Your tasks are divided into two different categories, the high-level tasks and the low-level tasks. Low-level tasks comprises of your heart beating, you breathing and blinking, and all the other tasks. Well, if you consider these tasks, then these aren't considered to be multitasking. But when you provide your human brain with two different tasks which are of high level, then your brain can only focus on one task at a time. So if you hear a person who is trying to expect you to do multiple tasks at the same time, then your human brain will simply fail to do them. So the human brain can only sustain a high level of concentration for 10 to 20 minutes. Well, why is it so? It is so because your brain requires all the blood flow and the oxygen to make sure that you are concentrating well in the task, which makes the other organs deprived of oxygen and blood flow, which in turn makes you tired and lose concentration. So, in order to make sure that you have improved level of concentrations, you would have to perform different techniques such as the Pomodoro technique that I would have mentioned before in my videos. So I'll link that over here, make sure to watch that video and check that technique out. So moving on to the next fact, majority of the decisions are taken subconsciously. Well, you think that all the decisions that you take are in your own hands, but all of these or the majority of these are taken subconsciously, whether when you are sleeping or when you are using your mind without your knowledge. Well, at the moment, about 11 million bits per second of information is flowing through your brain. Now, if you want to consciously make sure that you process all the information, then your brain would run out of power and it would freeze. So at the end of the day, most of the decisions are taken by your brain for you so that you don't have to spend your time regarding all the information and processing of those information to make sure that you get something useful out of it and make a decision. So most people think that they are trying to give some rest to their brains when they sleep. But even in the sleep, your brain or your mind keeps on going and searching and processing all the information and making sure that you don't lose your memories and making sure that it stores all the important information and rejects all the unnecessary ones. So even when you sleep, your brain constantly keeps working and keeps in track of all the information that you sustained or you gained in the day. It takes your brain for about 66 days in order to form or break a habit. Well, if you are a person who reads book, or if you want to learn an instrument, or if you want to make sure that you exercise daily, then make sure that you perform the same activity for 66 days continuously. Now you want to make sure that the first 66 days are as engaging and as enjoyable as possible. So the first 66 days are done. Now the rest of the days might be a bit easier for you to get accustomed to the same habit. Now it is the same for when you are trying to break a habit. If you don't want a particular habit in your regular routine, then you have to make sure that you are devoid of that particular activity for 66 continuous days. You get creative when you are tired. Well, most people think that just after you wake up, that is the time when your brain is active and fresh, and that is when you start to get creative ideas. But usually the opposite is true. When you are tired enough, your brain always tries to take some interesting information of the day and tries to provide some creative facts that you can make use of. Moving on to the next fact, smart people often think that they are not smart enough. Well, this is based on the Dunning-Kruger effect. Based on this effect, smart people or people in general think that they are not smart enough, and the opposite is also true. Well, ignorant people think that they are very smart or over smart in certain cases. So if you are a person who thinks that you are not smart enough, then you are actually smart when compared to other people. So moving on, thinking in a foreign language makes your decisions more rational and logical. Well, if you take the case of your mother tongue, then often when you try to think, your brain would mislead you into many other information which are rather useless for the case. Well, if you try to think in a foreign language, then your brain automatically only takes and translates the necessary information into that language and makes sure that you focus only on that. So, this makes sure that your decisions are logical and rational. So let's move on to the next fact. Well, in a conversation, your eye contact matters the most, and oftentimes it can say multiple things about you. Well, if you are a person who maintains eye contact for 100% of the conversation, then oftentimes the other person might think that you are trying to pick out the mistakes from the conversation or you are trying to judge him or her. Well, if you are a person who tries to maintain eye contact for 80% of the conversation, then it means that you are usually interested in what he or she is trying to say. But if you are a person who is trying to maintain eye contact for less than 60% of the conversation, then he or she might automatically think that you are not interested in the conversation. So moving on, as of the next fact, let us talk about the placebo effect. Well, this placebo effect is a very interesting one regarding your human brain, and this placebo effect has been in use till now. In order to explain this particular effect, let us take an example of a student. Well, in a particular study, a student was asked to pinch both of his index fingers and a painkiller was applied in one of his fingers. Now one finger was applied with the painkiller and the other was left as it is. Now the teacher asked the student which finger hurt the most, and the student replied that this finger where the painkiller wasn't applied hurt the most. But the painkiller wasn't even a painkiller but was a simple paste which didn't have any properties of killing the pain. So this placebo effect had taken into place in his brain, and the student started to think that this painkiller actually had the properties of killing pain, and thus the finger where he didn't apply the painkiller hurt him the most. So till this date, this effect called placebo effect has been in use by many doctors, where even the diseases which didn't have any medicine could be cured just by the belief of a human that the medicine could actually cure them. So this placebo effect is a very useful one and is a very quirky feature of your human brain. So this video ends over here. Well, if you like the video, then please make sure to give a like to the video and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated whenever I post a new video. Now, comment down which was the favorite psychological fact that you liked and which was the fact that you already knew of. This video ends over here. See you guys in the next video. See you guys.